What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Jesse Cervini's Tomahawk Man deck. Yeah, that's right. Jesse Cervini from over on Rochester CCG, over on Top Deck Heroes. Make sure you go out to their Twitch and their Facebook and you give them a follow, a like, a subscribe, do what you got to do there. Is one of our great patrons, and he asked me to play this deck, and I said, of course, Jesse. So if you have any cool decks that you want the campus championship to be played in, make sure you go out and you sub out the Patreon and get in contact with me. I would absolutely love to play some of the cool stuff that you're doing. So he sent me over this really awesome Chaos Retro Tomahawk Man deck that we played for the Retro Round 3 Campus Championship. For anybody who doesn't know, Retro is a format that Jasco is trying to do an online tournament for that spans from every single set from the original Red Horizon all the way over to the most recent standard set, the DLCs that are currently out and legal. And this is going to be an online tournament, and so we here at TCGU decided to arm the good people with the knowledge and entertainment of playing a couple of campus championships inside of the retro format. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into Jesse's really awesome Tomahawk Man deck. All right, so before we jump into the profile, I will say, because the retro event that Jasco's putting on is going to be an online event as opposed to an in-paper event, it's really easy to get a hold of all of these cards because, you know, they're just pictures. But since we are playing paper UniVersus, some of the cards that we're playing, we do have proxies, and so please forgive us. We will have the cards up on the screen, but we don't have the pretty pictures for everybody. So what does this Tomahawk Man deck want to do? Oh boy, what does this Tomahawk Man deck want to do? Tomahawk Man is one of the only characters in the game that just automatically gets to increase his checks. So he plays as many attacks as he can from his hand. I believe we are only playing 4 foundations and just a handful of actions. It looks like less than a dozen. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11 actions inside of our deck, and the rest of the attacks the rest of the deck is just attacks. And so how many attacks can I play? Without any foundations, can I play 4, 5, 6 attacks into my card pool? And he does a surprisingly good job at doing it. As well as, if you attempt to block with a mid-block, your difficulty becomes 7. So it could have a -5 speed. And I can respond to Tomahawk Man before you make the check. The check's difficulty is a 7. You gotta have a 7, or else you can't block it. And so we're gonna do this deck profile just a little bit differently. Normally, whenever I do deck profiles, I start with the attacks because that's the fun part. Well, 99% of this deck is attacks. And so I want to talk to you about the cards that make the attacks actually worth playing this many attacks. And so the first card that I want to talk about is a starter card. It is a combo starter. It is a Heavenly Match. Form, search your discard pile for an attack of 3 or less, with difficulty 3 or less, and add it to your hand. So basically, it checks a 4, and it becomes whatever specific attack you need for the scenario. It's an unbelievably solid card. The form remove, the bottom form does not matter whatsoever. We'll never have the face downs in our staging area, never have face down cards in our staging area. It's not a possibility. Just being able to pick up a really cool card whenever I need it is very good. As well as, because we're playing so many 3 diffs, if I first form a Tomahawk Man, I'm guaranteed going to pass this. The worst check in my deck is a 3. Tomahawk makes this a 4. Hey, I just replaced this card. Next, we're playing Triple Corner Your Prey. This card's a bit of an extender as well. It says form, reveal 1 of your face down momentum. This deck loves its momentum. This deck gets so many momentum. If it's an attack, I can attempt to play it ignoring progressive difficulty. It just lets me play just one more attack that's probably going to do one more finisher that started off the turn not as a finisher, or started off the game not as a finisher, but now is a finisher as you quote-unquote corner your prey. And then we're playing Triple Bounce and Roll. This just is, once again, another extender. It checks a 5, which is the only 5 check in our entire deck, is 3 Bounce and Roll. It says, enhance, add a face-up foundation, add 1 face-up foundation to my hand, add this card to my staging area face down. So not only as an enhance do I get to build a foundation face down, which is fantastic for us, it also says my next check this turn gets a plus X. X equals 2 times my momentum. There was at one point where somebody had 6 momentum as Tomahawk Man in the Campus Championship, and they're just like, oh, hey, I auto-passed whatever the heck I want to play. But the crazier part is that I get to add 1 of my 4 foundations, which we'll get to next, and then build this guy back face down. On to the foundations. We're only playing 4 of it. For Clear Cutter, It says form, add this card up to my card pool. My checks get +1 for the rest of the turn, and your checks to play blocks get -1 for the rest of the turn. So basically it says all my attacks get +1 speed, and this card doesn't count towards progressive in order to play cards. You do have to be careful because it's only checks to play attacks, and so all of these cool cards can be very, very scary to be playing. So yeah, with that said, the turn that I have the card, I can play it just as a regular card out of my hand, or as a form, I'll put this up into my card pool. But once I put it in my card pool, at the end of the turn, it does leave. So make sure you are playing with that ability appropriately. So on to the attacks. We've got a ton of them. And so I started to go ahead and put them into their specific roles. And so reduction is the first starter attack that I want to play. This is easily one of the first attacks that I want to play inside of my turn because it says all my other really piddly 3 difficulty attacks get way, way bigger. And if it's not blocked, add to the top of my deck to my momentum. They actually have to block this card in this deck because momentum is so potent. It's so strong inside of this Tomahawk Man deck because I'm trying to use every single resource I possibly can. I want to use every single card to the best of my ability. Not to mention, if I can block, which is so you get to block once every tournament, you get to block with a Tomahawk Man deck. It does have Breaker too, so keep it in mind. Up next, we're playing 4 Bowflame. This card just replaces itself because after you discard the top 4 cards of your deck, hopefully you'll find an attack out of the 50 cards that you have left in your deck, as well as your next check to play an attack gets play a card gets +1. So basically, it ignores progressive for the first time that you play it, and since it's a 4 diff. Being the first card inside of my card pool, Tomahawk Man says that it does not. I get to pass that check. Up next, as a good combo card, not a combo extender, but a good. I can't think of the word. Anywho, for three Skull Slam, I'm sure I'll think of it in just a bit. If it deals damage, you add the top card of your deck to your momentum. We'll say combo extender. How about that? It's a combo extender. It just gives you momentum so that your kill cards later, which we'll get to, are even more potent. In the same way that we have Scratch Attack at a 3 of as our combo extender. Enhance, add a momentum from to my staging area face down. We are going to be ending the game with probably 1 or 2 foundations on turn 1 or 2. And so this card just lets me extend a little bit further. That foundation says commit for +1 on my check. That means I get to play 1 more attack because of the easy math that I'm doing. As well as it randomly gets really big. If I have first formed with Tomahawk Man, it's a 5 mid for 5 that I just auto pass on turn 1 for sure. Up next, the next combo extender that we're playing Triple Soul Thresher. Soul Thresher is a flash attack. It has ranged and flash because it skips this attack's enhance. And then your next attack this turn has -2 difficulty. And so basically, it is the gut punch to like, oh, you have to make sure that you can't deal with the Soul Thrasher because the next card that you're playing is going to be the one that probably kills you. It lets me play my big finishers later in my chain with having no foundations. Kind of the same vein that we're playing 4 Flash Lightning. If it's blocked, it goes to my momentum. It's a 3 damage attack. And then it says, while it's in my card pool, my mid and high attacks have -1 difficulty. Basically, it says that it doesn't count towards progressive difficulty. It doesn't count towards progressive difficulty because all of my attacks are all mids or highs. Up next, for my threats, we've got 3 Rolling Scratch. This card just says Slam Stun 1. If the check has been modified, which it has because I'm playing Tomahawk Man, it gets +1/+1. It's a 4 mid for 4 on a 3 diff. Just solid card inside of this deck. Nothing to write home about. It's fine. We're playing 4 Silver Tomahawk. This card has Stun 2, as well as it is a baby Tomahawk responsive. If they have somehow committed or sealed Tomahawk Man, they still have to check a 5 in order to play a mid block. It's fine. We'll never use that ability, but this is just a 5 damage attack on a 3 diff. Just really, really potent. That is like an eighth of everybody's life. Onto our finishers, we're playing 4 Shoki. So as we said, this deck gets momentum out the wazoo. And so when on turn 2, we can easily have 4 momentum. And so double Shoki says that I'm going to be doing like 9-18 damage. And if I've gotten those 4 momentum, I've already poked them down enough. This deck is very much a death by 1,000 cuts. And so this attack is the big chunk damage that they have to deal with. And it's like a 9 mid for 7. The check of 4 almost never happens. You never get to check the 4 because you don't want to commit your staging area in order to get an extra 3 damage. Who cares about that? The next finisher card we're playing 4 Soul Flash. Discard a momentum. This attack deals damage your opponent loses a vitality for each printed 3 damage attack in your card pool. There's only one attack inside of our deck at a 3 of that has 4 base damage. Everything else is 2 or less. And so playing Soul Flash as a 2 diff at the end of my chain says that sometimes this Soul Flash is going to do like 6 or 7 damage depending on how many cards I have preceding it. If this was my card pool and this Soul Flash hit you, it does 2 plus the other 4. So it's a 6 damage 2 diff, which, I mean, I've smacked you for a bunch already. And in the same vein, we're playing 4 Tomahawk Slam. Discard a momentum. This deck is a +4 damage. And the potent thing about this is it seems really easy just to, all these attacks are really slow. Let's just block mid. Well, you can't because of Tomahawk Man's response. You have to check a 7. Basically, every time that you want to block one of my attacks, you're committing 2 of your foundations. And so this is just the half block you deal, you take 4 damage. And then the very last card in the deck is 4 Skull Barrier. This is the only defensive piece that we have in the entire game. Because of how quick it is to grab momentum, this 0 mid block, you have to pick your blocks carefully. Like I said, in the entire campus championship, I only got to successfully block 2 times. And it was block, and then it just sat in the card pool with my 2 momentum, and it said, you're not going to kill me this turn. I get 1 more turn. If you can successfully find a Skull Barrier on turn 1, turn 2, and you have the 2 momentum, you are not going to die. Asterisk, I can't guarantee that, obviously. I'm not playing your games. But it's such a burden for my opponent to get around. And you just get to sit there as Tomahawk Man and just and know you're going to draw attacks next turn. You know you are. You know it. And so there you have it. Tomahawk Man, this is Jesse Cervini's deck. Big shout-outs once again to Rochester CCG. Make sure you go out and you buy your singles out there. Not sponsored. But no, this deck was an absolute blast. It was a little harder to play than I thought it would be. There's actually like correct lines that you have to play. When you look at the deck profile, it seems very straightforward, but it is so easy to mess up in such a catastrophic way with this deck that it actually takes real skill to play and play correctly. There is a little bit of a chaotic element to this deck, of the fact that, like, hey, there's 6 attacks and I'm going to see if I can just math it out and play all 6. But, as the nature of the beast. Like we said at the very tip top, if you want to get your deck submitted here to TCG University for our campus championships, please sub out on Patreon at patreon.com/TCG University. Sub out there, get access to the Discord, chat with me, any other student body, any other faculty, and we'd love to have you. As well as check out the other profiles and the matches here on the channel. And then lastly, go out and follow us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TCG University. And you can catch the notifications whenever we go live every Tuesday to record these campus championships, and we'll see you in the comments. So from all of us here at TCG University, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.